And could you tell the jury what chronic sleep deficit means?
So chronic sleep deficit is something that we could put out as far as you want, but for the purposes of this case, we're focused mainly on the prior week and the prior 72 hours to the period. So here we have a plus. Again, we've gone over all of the things that refer to the quality of the sleep due to the sleep disorder, but you've already heard from Mr. Levitan, and I had the opportunity to review his report, and Mr. Levitan, on the basis of cell phone records and work records and other analysis he did, he concluded that on 3 of the 5 nights prior to the crash, Mr. Clark could not have slept for more than 6 hours. Now, medically, we define short sleep as less than 6 hours. So therefore, it's not something that I made up, it's the standard operating definition of medicine. Short sleep is less than 6 hours, and 3 to 5 nights, he got less than 6 hours. Moreover, I believe Mr. Levitan went over in detail that on the period that was 48 hours prior to the crash, it appears that Mr. Clark was awake for 23, maybe even all 24 hours of that period. So that's a dramatic loss of sleep. It's a whole day, essentially, without sleep. And you cannot fully restore your alertness. If you are chronically sleep deprived, even one good night of sleep cannot fully restore your alertness. So chronic sleep deficit is an issue here.
Thank you, doctor. And the next category is shift work or jet lag. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. So, again, our bodies are habituated. We have an internal clock. It's the internal timekeeper. You may have heard the term circadian rhythm. It comes from Latin meaning about the length of a day. Okay? That is based on when you get up, when you go to bed, and the light outside. Okay? So if you are changing your shift, in other words, if you work normally in the morning and then you go to the afternoon shift and then you work a night shift, or you're on the night shift and come on the day shift, or conversely, if you travel across time zones, maybe many of you have done this, and there's a significant change in hours, like if we were to fly from Florida and go to Europe or go to Japan, it's a completely different time there than it is here, and your body is still on that old time. So Mr. Clark was alternating. He was driving at night, which is an unnatural time to be awake. I think you all agree. Human beings normally, we sleep during the nighttime and we work during the daytime. So, but he was not on a chronic night shift either. So he was changing back and forth. There was an irregular pattern to his work schedules based on his logs, etc. So this is also present.
Thank you, doctor. And the time of day effect, I think I know what that is, but could you explain it to the jury?
Sure. Perhaps Mr. Woody could pull up the slide, the next slide.
Next slide.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, based on what we were already talking about, normally we're awake during the daytime and sleep during the nighttime. So this is a plot that shows the risk of a highway accident by time of day, midnight here, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., all the way up to 11 p.m. at night. And what you can see is the lowest risk time for an accident is either 8, 9, 10 here in the morning, when normally people have gotten up, you've gotten your coffee, you've gotten out of bed, you've got past that drowsiness of that inertia of getting out of bed, and you're ready to go. And then also around here, between 6 and 8 o'clock at night, you have another sort of surge in your energy. The risk then, after 8, risk of accident goes up again, because why? Because normally we're getting ready to go to bed. We also see a bump here after 1 p.m. to about 3 p.m., 4 p.m., that's called the post-lunch dip or the siesta dip. That is why maybe you're falling asleep when I'm talking to you now. But I know, I see all of you are wide awake, so I appreciate your attention. But that's a natural phenomenon because our body tends to dip in energy then. And then in particular, we see that these early morning hours, when normally we would all be asleep in bed, the risk of accident is highest. And we see in this case, we know that the accident occurred on clock time of 02:38 hours, that's 2 a.m., 38 minutes past 2 a.m. That's up here, and you can see this is about 6-fold risk of accident compared to these nadir or minimum accident times.